So I wanted to sit down and share with you what I made for our wedding, from the invitations to the guest book to the thank you cards. Before I start, context. I had a really small wedding, like 10 people small. So I understand that if you are planning something bigger, this might not make the most sense for you. But also not saying that it's not possible either. It was also very last minute, and I was able to work on this like it was my full-time job because I had recently quit my full-time teaching job. And if you know anything about me, I love to turn anything into a zine, so you'll see that as a common theme throughout. My husband and I met in college. I was going to art school while he was in flight school, training to become a pilot. We dated for 8 years before he proposed last October. It was already such a transitional time for us. I had just left my teaching job. He was interviewing for other major airlines. We originally planned to do a simple courthouse wedding, but when the courthouse we wanted was booked, we took that as a sign to throw a little micro wedding instead, and we're so glad that we did. For the invitations, I made little zines. I loved that each detail could live on its own page within the zine. I sketched everything with pencil first on a physical piece of paper, and then I scanned it, put it into my iPad, digitized it, and from there I could print as many as we needed. And folding them, it was very therapeutic. The repetition of folding the same thing over and over again. My hope was that everyone could feel the handmade quality of it all. Okay, next. So I couldn't find a guest book that I liked at all, and that's kind of the theme of my life. I can't find exactly what I want, therefore I make it instead. So I bought a pilot book as the guest book, and this wasn't my original idea. I saw someone do it on Instagram, and I thought that was a cute idea, and it was fitting because my husband is a pilot. I designed a custom cover on my iPad and then had my Cricut machine cut it in gold vinyl. It took me a few tries because, of course, I don't measure. Since we only had 10 guests, we dedicated a whole spread to each person. I made little stickers to indicate where people should sign and leave notes. We were going to do little Polaroids too, so I put the little photo corners in there so that they could be inserted later on. And of course, the Polaroid on that day had dead batteries, but it's okay. We were able to locate batteries and it was all well and fine. I didn't think I wanted to wear a veil. It felt too flashy and I didn't want the attention, so I thought I would make a little hairpiece instead. And I was inspired by the little hairpiece that Arden Rose got commissioned, and I thought, maybe I'll just give it a try. It looked fun to make. So when I was in Chicago with my sisters, we went to a bead shop and we picked the beads together, mostly pearls, and that felt really special. And then I actually ended up wearing the veil too, which is funny. But that day felt so fully ours that I didn't really feel ashamed for attracting that attention, if that makes sense. I really embraced being a bride because after all, we only get to do it once. And adding the hairpiece felt even more special. Of course, the vows also had to be zines. I folded a blank one for my husband who would just fill it out with his handwriting while I sketched it out on my paper, scanned it in, and digitized the design. I wanted to include pictures in it, so I drew me and my husband as little angels. I joke around that he's my sunny angel. No need to buy vow books when you could just easily make a little book yourself. So I didn't want people just sitting around, and our wedding was so small and it felt so short that I don't think this was something to be worrying about. I made zine kits for everybody to do, mostly while we waited for dinner. I know, my former art teacher self is showing. Each zine was contained in a little envelope which I printed a cute little design on. Each kit had a blank pre-folded zine, some glue dots, little collage pieces, like metallic sheets of paper that were cut into fun shapes so that you could collage, I also designed sticker sheets to put in there. And then we also brought along a few set of markers that people could use. Some people felt pressure by this. They felt like, oh my gosh, there's a piece of paper, I don't know what to do with it, which made me feel sad because the whole point is to make something casual and something personal that you could take with you at the end of the day. But I love that everybody left with something that they made, which I think is way more meaningful than anything I could have ordered online. Last thing, the thank you cards. The photos that were taken on that day, I printed mini versions of them like this big, and I had Mod Podged 3 on one side and 3 on the other, and I also had pressed the flowers from that day as well. I pressed those between some aviation books that were heavy for 2 weeks, and then they were ready to be put on the cards. I decided to Mod Podge the entire card to make the texture consistent, and then yeah, those were sent as the thank you cards. I thought they turned out really cute, and I would say people really enjoyed receiving those. I even turned some of the flowers into stickers. Looking back, I'm just really grateful that I had the time, the space, and the energy to do all of this for our wedding day. It didn't feel like planning a wedding. It felt like an excuse to craft a bunch of things. And I would love to design things like this for other people someday. If you're planning something small, or you're just someone who loves making things, I hope that this inspires you to make at least one thing. Thank you for being here.